Well, here we go again. One more here in the car, and I am headed to watch the Monday Night Football games. Meeting my son and my father. Figured I would put something out, even if it's nothing more than just a quick update. So I don't know how many of you saw the last video I put out where I actually put some photos from the assignment I was on. I think it was it baseball? Gosh, I don't even remember what it was. That's really sad that I don't even know which sport it was. Anyway, I hope you got to see the pictures at the end. There's a few more from this weekend that have made it out. I will probably try to include some of those in a link to I've got a link to all the what you call not spreadsheets, but the news sheets that where people have used the images I shot. This past weekend I did I shot the second to the last Texas Rangers game against who was it against? It was against Seattle, and we lost. We, as in Texas, lost 8-4 in a game that was going super fast, and then it hit the 6th inning, and so after 2 hours we're into the 6th inning, and after the 6th inning we were on hour 3. It just slowed to a crawl after that, and so that was fun. And that was the day before the Cowboys game, which I shot the Dallas Cowboys game, which was quite the joy, against Baltimore. And of course, I don't know if you watched the game or not, but the Cowboys were getting blown out for the first half and a half. But yeah, and then they decided to start actually playing, and made it a game there at the end. But gosh, it's kind of sad to see them playing the way they are. I know there's probably a lot of people that absolutely despise the Cowboys, but I've been in Texas my whole life, so of course I'm a fan. But hopefully they'll make a run at it. I guess they play on Thursday, so if they don't get it together here pretty soon, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be pretty tough for them to make a season out of it. But anyway, I got a lot of good photos. It's the first time I shot for the outlet that I shot for, well, at least a Cowboy game. I've shot plenty of other things, but the Cowboys I've not shot for them before. So there were 2 of us there covering each sideline. And it is a lot of running up and down the field. So you have to be in front of the play most of the time. So, and you can't be behind the bench, so you can't stop behind the bench. So basically, anytime the ball gets out about 30-yard line, 25-30-yard line, you have to take off down to the other end of the field to get in front of the play, and then you slowly move back from there. And then if there's a turnover or the quarter changes or there's a change of possession, anything like that, you got to turn around and take off down to the other end of the field. So it's actually quite a good workout. I don't know, I think I got 8,500 steps in during the game. I was tracking it. I think that's what I got. I looked at it last night, but it was quite the workout. Especially carrying around big lens, and well, actually 2 cameras and 2 lenses. I used to carry around 3, and I'm just getting too old for that. So trying to make the best of it. I did buy a new 70-200 RF lens for my Canon bodies. I've had the 70-200 IS version 1 for the f2.8 since, I want to say, well, when it first came out, or around when it first came out. I think I got it in 2003 or 2004. So I've had that lens for like 20 years or more. And it's been a great lens, but slowly it's kind of gone where it back focuses a little bit on my EF bodies. And I was able to overcome that with the in-body where you can adjust the lenses, the offset for the lenses, and I was able to make it work for the past, few years since they've had that feature. And it's actually worked quite well, and I'm going to keep it. It's pretty worn out, but it still takes good images with the EF cameras. When I put it on the RF, I have no idea why, because I don't believe, as I understand it, the way the RF sensors work, I don't believe that adjustments for back focus or front focus actually, there are none on the bodies, and I don't believe that the way that they actually adjust the focus has anything to do with the way that I don't believe that those type of adjustments are applicable to RF bodies, even if they had it, I guess. But so when I put that lens on either one of my RF cameras, I got an R5 and an R7, it just very unsatisfactory. And it looks like it's back focusing slightly, but it's back focusing enough to where the pictures come out soft every time. And if I do get one in focus, it's more of an accident. So I just decided to buy a new one, which I just really didn't want to spend the money. But I figured if this one lasts me 20 years, then it'll be worthwhile. That obviously is a staple lens for sports photographers and portrait photographers. And I've got my daughter's a senior this year, so I'll be taking her senior pictures, and I've got plenty more assignments coming up to where I can use it. So I figured this was the time to do it. I really kind of wanted to buy a new R5 Mark II, but I'm going to wait on those to come down in price. Heck, I might even just buy a second regular R5, because it does everything that I need it to do. If I was doing serious video work, I probably would get the R5 too. And truthfully, if I had more assignments that required it, or required that type of low light performance, and I didn't already have the bodies that I had, I would go ahead and get a Mark II. But I just can't justify $4,400 or $4,200 or whatever it's running at this point. Once it comes down in cost, I'll probably get one, but I'm not going to be an early adopter this time, which is unusual. I usually am, but I haven't since the 1DX. That was where I was pretty much still buying all the latest and greatest stuff, and then I swore to myself I was going to let things wear themselves out before I jumped on new things. And for sports photography and for photography in general, I've pretty much stuck to that when it comes to video and 360 cameras, pocket threes and things like that. I'm still pretty much a sucker, and I buy all the new stuff. But anyway, also found out I'm going to be shooting the Cotton Bowl for the college football playoff team, or the team of photographers, and that'll be, I guess, beginning of January. That'll be pretty fun. So anyway, I've got quite a few things lined up, so I figured I would go ahead and pull the trigger now. Anybody else out there have the 7200 RF? I originally said I was going to wait for the new version to come out that was internal focusing, because for one thing, when I shoot hockey and I'm shooting through the hole in the glass, the way that they have the glass in the NHL, you have a cutout, but you also have like a door. It's pretty new for the last few years, but they have a little door that shuts on the glass. So anytime the place coming towards you, or the players are getting anywhere near your area, you have to shut that hole. And using the 7200, which is pretty much the lens to use for hockey at the glass, having an internal focus lens where it doesn't extend out whenever you zoom is quite I would say it's not completely necessary, but it's sure helpful, because you're not expanding the lens where it's sticking through the hole or you're banging it into the glass, that sort of thing. And so I was going to hold off until they come out with the new 70-200. I'm actually getting a phone call, so I'm going to pause right here. I'll come back. Well, I had a phone call right in the middle. That's the first time that's happened since I started doing these in the car vlogs. So let me think. Where was I? I was talking about the 70-200. Yeah, in hockey. I went to purchase this probably 10 times over the last year and a half to purchase this lens, and kept saying, no, I'm going to wait for the new version to come out, because I keep hearing rumors, and I'm assuming it's going to come out pretty darn soon now, for the internal focus version. And then I thought to myself, it's already too expensive as is, and since they're not going to discontinue this one because it's like the compact version and it does extend, I figure that just basically means the new one's going to come out and be even more expensive. I can't see how they'll introduce that one at the same price or anywhere close to the same price. So, I mean, the current one list price is $27.99, and they lowered it to $25.99 recently. And you can get them pretty much anywhere for $24.99. So, $27.99 is the retail price whenever it first came out. So I'm assuming that this new one's going to probably be around at least that, if not $100 or $200 more. And so I wasn't going to spend an additional $600 or whatever it was going to cost just to get the internal focusing, and the fact that I don't know exactly when it's going to be released. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger, and I bought it from Amazon, which I wasn't planning on doing that either, but it turns out that they were giving like 10% back. Yes, 10% back in Amazon points or whatever. So that was kind of like getting the tax included. There's actually a little bit more back than tax. So it's $250 back in points, which I can use. But enough about the cost. Sports photographers don't make as much money as they once did. Or actually, they probably make... No, they don't. I was about to say they probably make the same as they did 30 years ago. But with no inflation accounted for, it's bad. But the truth is you're actually getting paid less now than you used to. So anybody out there that's interested in this sort of thing for a living, keep that in mind. That's why I don't do it for a living. And I only do it as a side hustle. Now I'm in traffic. Anyway, to get back to that, I used that lens for the first time during the last two games, Saturday and Sunday, and I used it on my R7, so it was giving me quite a bit of more effective reach, which with the Cowboy game it actually was a hindrance because I needed actually a little bit wider lens. Some of the couple of touchdowns came directly at me, and when they caught it right in front of me at the full width, 70 millimeters, it was full body, straight up and down. I just barely got the feet all the way to the helmet in the shot. I mean, literally by a couple of inches on each side. And I would have preferred to have that quite a bit wider. And I sometimes, I mean, prior to this, I was carrying my 27 or 24 to 70, and it's great for that. But then I would find myself too short. So it's kind of one of those catch-22 things where, once the play gets within the 20-yard line or so, or in the red zone, you kind of really, you can use, I mean, I have my 400, which I can use if I want to get like real tight shots of the quarterback or the running back, that sort of thing. But truthfully, you can't really be using that if the play comes at you or is a significant play where it goes into the end zone, unless it's on the opposite side of the end zone. You really are too tight, so you You want something that's kind of in between, and the 70-200 is perfect for that. But when you're on a crop body, it puts it at over 300 millimeters. So at the full end, and the wide end is what, 100, or I don't know. I can't do the math in my head, but you know, it's not very wide. So it can catch you there too. So it's one of those things where you kind of want to figure it out. I feel like I do more plays where I don't need the super wide. So I choose to use the 70-200. And I got to say, I'm very pleased with the lens. It's extremely sharp. I'm very, very pleased with that. And it seems to be fast focusing. And so far, everything about it I like, except for the zoom, the way it extends out. But I think I'll get used to that, to be honest with you. Because once it's fully extended, it's about the same length as the old 70-200. So, you know, it's just a matter of figuring it out. And I think I've used a zoom where it's extended before with hockey, and it's a matter of when you zoom in, you lean back a little bit. You just kind of naturally move back as you zoom in, and you stay at the same spot in the hole of the glass. So it's just one of those things. You just have to get used to it. And I guess NHL's starting up. I'm not sure how much I'll be shooting it, but we'll see. I've actually got MLS coming up Saturday, the 28th. I'm not sure who we're playing. LA Galaxy, maybe? So that'll be fun. That's also another one where 70-200 is great. Anytime they have corner kicks or anything in the box or that sort of thing, it's really nice to have that focal length. And I feel like with soccer, on the R7, it's actually going to be beneficial because I rarely need super wide shots in soccer. And then basketball. So when the NBA season kicks off here soon, I'll probably be using a combination of the 24-70 and the 70-200. I'm not sure which combination I'm going to do that with. I don't know if I'm going to put the 24-70 on my R5, which is what I did last year. And then I used my 1DX with the 70-200. But I think I'm going to retire the 1DX this year. It's kind of weird being at games now if you have a standard XLR or DSLR instead of a mirrorless. For my whole career, I'm used to hearing clatter, you know, every time there was a moment that everybody took pictures. And nowadays it's completely silent, which is great when you shoot PGA Tour. But other than that, it's kind of weird. Just doesn't seem like anybody's taking pictures. It's completely silent. Things have certainly changed over the years, that's for sure. The one I still can't get used to is the fact that there's hardly any magazines or print anymore, and everything's online. So all these high-resolution images that we're putting out are shrunk down and put on people's cell phones. But when it comes to like trading cards or an actual newsprint or anything like that, they do still want those high-res images. Anything that's like for posters or billboards or anything like that. But it sure seems almost overkill when you're shooting 45 megapixel images and 90% of your audience is looking at it on their cell phone in an article. And the other thing is the darn shooting 30 frames a second. That's video speed. When you think about it, it's video speed. So you're shooting high resolution video speed, and then so you're having to, when you're going through a burst of images, you know, when you're shooting mirrorless, you're not wearing out your shutter. And so you don't really have to even consider that as part of, I mean, I know when with my DSLRs, you didn't want to shoot thousands and thousands of images at games. I mean, you shoot over 1,000 for sure, but you didn't go crazy because you're gonna wear out your shutter and have to replace it eventually, and so you're kind of mindful of that. Now with the mirrorless, you just lay on the shutter and you shoot, of a sequence, you might shoot 50 shots of, something, and have to go through it and pull one image from that sequence, and it's wasteful as far as cards and storage is concerned. It's just funny to think about. It does make the culling process, your workflow very, very important though, because the way, you mark your images in camera, so if you've got a shot that you want to send in, you really have to have it marked in camera, or locked is typically what it's called in the camera. You want those to be marked so that when you get back to your computer between innings or between quarters, whatever, that we use Photo Mechanic. Photo Mechanic recognizes the locked images as marked, and then those, we'll have them sorted that way so you can pull them all in, and you already have the images that you want ready to edit and capture, ready to go. And that's very, very important. I can't even imagine going through these without that system in place. It would just be crazy. And the fact is after the games, I probably have a couple of thousand images that I still need to go through that I didn't have time to mark, or didn't mark because for one reason or another, and forgot about. And so I will do a second edit. And then once the second edit's done, you kind of go through all those as you have time and put those in an archive, and they get used later on. I have stuff that's gets used from years and years ago that show up in random articles. A lot of times it's a rookie, or might be college football players or something, and now they're superstars in the NFL, and they'll go back and use it for an article. That sort of thing. So it's always fun to see those come up, and it's nice to have a back catalog of images to have available. I'm still shocked when I see something 15 years ago or whatever show up. And something that'll make you feel old is whenever you shoot somebody that's in college, then they go professional, and then they retire professional, and I'm still shooting the same person. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I know I'm just this was probably a pretty boring one. Not sure I'm gonna put it out there, but I figured it was something to put out. I know I haven't done anything in a while. I'm gonna do some more concerts here pretty soon, but I thought I would talk a little bit more about camera work and camera gear and sports photography while I had a moment to drive, and so anyway, I'm glad you tuned in, and I appreciate it. Talk to you guys later. Bye.